What will you do if your husband hands you a divorce paper to sign the moment he became a CEO in an organization that belongs to you? Funny, right? Hit the subscribe button as we dive into the story. Daniel slammed the glass door of his new CEO office behind him. The applause from the boardroom still echoed faintly in his ears, but the satisfaction was hollow. He was finally at the top. Everything he had worked for, dreamed for, bled for, was in his hands. Mira stood in the corridor outside, watching him. Her arms were crossed, her face calm but unreadable. She didn't step forward. She didn't say anything. And that silence cut deeper than any words could. You shouldn't be here, Daniel barked without turning around. Security. Mira's gaze never wavered. I'm not going anywhere, she said softly. Not until you hear me. Daniel laughed, a sharp, brittle sound. Hear you? You think you have something to teach me now? I've been teaching you all along, she said, voice quiet but firm. You just refused to listen. Daniel's hand trembled slightly as he reached for his phone. I have a board call in 5 minutes. Don't interfere. I'm not interfering, Mira replied. I'm reminding you. The memory of their apartment 3 years ago flashed in his mind. He had been trembling then too, uncertain, barely holding on to his career. Mira had been there, calm, confident, unwavering. Everything will work out. Trust me, she had said. And it had. Now, standing in front of him, she was the same woman but different. Stronger. Unbreakable. And utterly invisible in his rise to the top. 2 weeks later, Daniel handed her the divorce papers. I need someone who fits where I'm going, he said. Mira studied the papers carefully. And I don't. You don't belong in this world anymore, he snapped. She signed without hesitation, but as she set the pen down, she whispered, just promise me one thing. What? He asked. Don't pretend you did this alone. He scoffed. History will remember me. Yes, she said, meeting his eyes steadily. It will. As she walked out, Daniel didn't notice the first tremor of doubt. Not yet. But that tremor would grow. And by the time it became a storm, it would be too late. Hit the subscribe button as we continue. Daniel stepped onto the stage at the company gala, the spotlight warming his shoulders, cameras flashing relentlessly. He was the new CEO. Every eye in the room was on him, applauding his rise, celebrating his authority. Every word he spoke dripped with confidence. This company represents ambition, discipline, and success, he said, voice echoing across the hall. And I intend to take it even higher. Mira stood at the back, quiet, observing. She didn't clap. She didn't cheer. She simply watched him move, commanding attention he thought he had earned alone. Later, in the silence of their shared apartment, now only a shadow of familiarity, Daniel paced like a king surveying conquered lands. Do you know what it feels like to be recognized? To finally have the power you've been chasing? He asked, tone sharp, almost desperate. I do, Mira said softly. I've always known. He didn't hear the meaning beneath her words. He only heard that she wasn't celebrating with him. Days passed, and Daniel's arrogance grew. Meetings with Mira became arguments. When she questioned decisions, he accused her of doubt. When she stayed silent, he accused her of indifference. One evening, she asked, "Why don't you talk to me anymore?" Daniel didn't look up from his phone. Because every conversation turns into you questioning me. I'm not questioning you, she said quietly. I'm trying to understand. He laughed, a humorless, biting laugh. That's the problem. You can't. The first real public humiliation came at a company dinner. A senior executive asked, "And what do you do, Mira?" Before she could answer, Daniel interjected. "She doesn't work here." Mira smiled politely. "I work in finance. Basic accounting," Daniel added with a dismissive wave, "nothing to worry about." The room went silent. The quiet sting in her chest was sharp, but she said nothing. Later, in the car, she whispered, "You didn't have to do that." "Yes, I did," he snapped. "Image matters now." She turned to him slowly. "So do people." He slammed the brakes, glaring. "You don't get it. Everything I've built is on the line. No, she said firmly, voice steady, everything we built is on the line. He stared at her, eyes wide, incredulous. For the first time, a flicker of uncertainty crossed his face. But pride swallowed it. He wouldn't admit it. If you're enjoying this story, don't forget to hit like, share this video with friends, and comment below what you think Daniel will do next. And make sure to subscribe so you don't miss the rest. Like, share, comment, subscribe. Daniel leaned back in the boardroom chair, hands clasped tightly, confidence radiating outward. This merger is final, he declared. We cut the unnecessary, push the competition aside, and dominate the market within 6 months. A few board members exchanged uneasy glances, but no one dared contradict him. They had all learned to fear his rising authority. He thought he was untouchable. The door opened. Mira stepped inside. Calm, measured, and composed. Every movement precise. She didn't rush. She didn't hesitate. She simply stopped at the far end of the table. Daniel's heart skipped a beat, though he refused to show it. What are you doing here? He barked. Security. The chairman raised a hand. There's no need. Daniel's eyes narrowed. She's not authorized. She is, the chairman said evenly. She is the majority shareholder. The words hit Daniel like a lightning strike. His chest tightened. That's impossible, he whispered. Mira's eyes met his, steady and unwavering. You never asked, she said quietly. Memories crashed into him all at once. The mysterious bailout that saved the company. The promotions he thought he'd earned alone. The approvals that always seemed to go his way. She had been behind it all, silently, invisibly, until now. You, he said, voice breaking slightly. All this time, you let me. I didn't let you do anything, Mira replied softly. You chose who you became. I simply gave you the chance to rise. I stayed in the shadows because I trusted you to find your way. Daniel's legs felt weak. I humiliated you. I divorced you. You made your choices, she said, calm but firm. And now you must live with them. The chairman's voice cut through the tense silence. Effective immediately, Daniel's authority is suspended. He lunged to his feet, voice rising. You can't do this to me. Mira's gaze never wavered. I didn't. You did. Security entered the room. Daniel's face was pale, disbelief and fury mingling. The man who had once commanded the boardroom, who had laughed at the world, was now being escorted out by the same hands he had used to remove others. If you're hooked by this twist, take a moment to like the video, share it with your friends, and comment below what you would do in Daniel's place. Don't forget to subscribe for the final part. You won't want to miss how this ends. As the doors closed behind him, silence fell over the room. Mira exhaled slowly, allowing herself a small, private smile. The company she had quietly saved was finally in her hands, not with vengeance, but with clarity and purpose. Daniel sat alone in the empty corridor outside the boardroom, head bowed, hands gripping the armrests as if he could hold onto the dignity that had just slipped through his fingers. The echoes of Mira's calm voice haunted him. You stopped listening a long time ago. Every word cut deeper than any defeat he had ever faced. He had chased power, applause, recognition, and in doing so, had humiliated the one person who had quietly carried him to the top. The thought made his chest tighten. He could replay every cruel word, every dismissive glance, and feel the weight of every mistake. Inside the boardroom, Mira moved among the executives with quiet authority. Decisions were made with precision, guidance given with clarity. Her presence was strong but measured, commanding respect without shouting, without gloating. The company felt alive again. Employees looked at her with trust and admiration. She had rebuilt what Daniel had almost destroyed, not with anger, but with patience, integrity, and unwavering resolve. That night, Daniel returned to his apartment, empty and cold. He wandered through the rooms, finally confronting the truth he had refused to see. The climb to power had blinded him. He had mistaken ambition for achievement, arrogance for leadership. He whispered into the darkness, I should have seen you. I should have listened. Meanwhile, Mira returned home, tired but composed. Her reflection in the window caught her eye. For a fleeting moment, she allowed herself a thought she had buried for years. True strength was not in proving oneself, but in knowing when to stand silently and when to finally reveal the truth. The next morning, the company thrummed with energy. Meetings were purposeful, decisions carried weight, and employees moved with renewed confidence. Mira walked through the corridors with quiet pride, acknowledging those who had built the company alongside her. Daniel's name was mentioned only in passing. There was no need for retribution. She had claimed her place not through vengeance, but through vision and perseverance. If you enjoyed the full story, make sure to like this video, share it with friends, and leave a comment below telling us what you would have done in Daniel's place. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss more stories like this. Daniel had lost everything he thought defined him. Mira had reclaimed it all, not with anger, but with patience, wisdom, and unwavering resolve. Some people don't look powerful until they choose to stand. And when they do, even the highest towers built on arrogance crumble beneath their gaze.